Welcome to my channel. This is a reading for Pisces for the month of July. I guess we're at the July 2nd. I'm a little late getting the readings out. As I mentioned in some other readings, life is busy, so I'm just trying to do these when I can. Usually it's very late at night. So this again is a reading for July for 2020 Pisces. I have pulled, if you're new to my channel, I'll just give you a quick rundown of the layout, how I've organized things. So what I've done is primarily anything that's related to career and finance will be in this central area here. Some of the cards are a little out of view just because I'm limited by equipment as well as space. I do have other general energies which are further out on the side here, as well as some advice cards. I'll pull them forward as I go. So I do have advice cards here, and I also have that one. I should mention the decks here as well. That one is the Archangel Power deck, and that is by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. I'm also using the Rider Waite deck, and that is actually by it's the Golden Universal Tarot, and that one is by Roberto De Angelis. So I don't think I'd mentioned that in some of my other readings, but that is the deck I'm referring to. I'm also using the Crow Tarot, and that is by M.J. Cullen, something like that. Sorry if I mispronounce, and that would be this deck here. And I'm also using the Witch's Tarot, and that's this one here. And sorry, just trying to figure out what I did with that one. The Witch's Tarot is by Dugan. I'm also using the Rune Cards, and that would be these cards here. And that one is by Ralph Blum, or Bloom, not certain on how that's pronounced. I am also using, I use several decks, I should just quickly mention, just because I feel that I get more diversity in the reading. Sometimes there's a lot of parallel energies and certain cards that still reference, for example, the Fool card might be represented in another deck as a Fool card as well, but the cards still have very specific meanings to that particular deck. So they may have some similar overlapping energies, but again, there's usually a little more detail that comes out with each deck. I'm also using a new deck this time, that I'm adding in two of them. So this is actually called Caitlin Matthews' deck, and it's the Ancestral Oracle of the Celts. This deck is actually more about what your ancestors are, whether those that have passed on or those that are behaving as guardian angels or divine spirit that's protecting you or coming through to guide. But either way, those are cards that relate more to ancestral advice. That one, as I say, that one was by Caitlin Matthews. Let's see who else I have not mentioned here yet. I'm also using, I'll just point to these cards and pull them forward after, but this is actually the Happy Endings card and the Love Partnership card. That is actually by Numerology Guidance Cards from Michelle Buchanan. And I am also using the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms cards by Colette Baron Reed. I also have, I think there's just two more to go through here. I'm also using the Muse Tarot, and that's by Chris Ann. It's one of my newer decks as well, and it's more of an inspirational type deck. I really like the art on the cards for this one as well. If I can locate it, I have so many cards out here on the. So that would be these cards here. And there's three of those that I've pulled. And I am also using, this is a new one for me also, Sacred Geometry, which would be these cards here. So the Sacred Geometry cards are by Emily Kisvarda and Phoenix Gateways, and that's healing cards. So basically, the energy of the cards is based around the symbols of life and how they resonate and interplay with chakras and energy and all of that. It's a new deck for me, as I say, so I don't know that much about it yet, but it does seem intriguing. I'm also using another deck that I've had before, I just haven't pulled it out. It's actually the Golden Tarot, and that's by Visconti Sforza deck, and Mary Packard, I believe, is the person who has written the book. And the artwork is this one here. So those are at the far back here. So I think I've covered the layout of the cards here. And I'll just try to, I did do a quick glance of the cards before I get into the readings, because most of my readings are pretty lengthy. I don't get all of them out for every sign each month, so I try to be very detailed in what I do present to you. So first off, I just want to mention it looks like there is some kind of aha moment or awakening, something that's happening here for you Pisces in the month of July. I feel that you've been going through a really trying time. There's been something that's been very worrisome for you. I feel that it's either created some kind of anxiety or sadness or grief of some sort, but there's been stagnation, just a very low vibe energy for probably beyond just July. Preceding months would have been a part of this, but because it's a heavy energy. But I will say for the month of July, you're starting to come out of it. You're starting to come to terms with something. I also feel that there is some kind of day of reckoning, I guess is maybe the best way to express it, where you actually are coming to terms with not just some kind of realization for yourself, but it's also family oriented. There's some kind of reciprocity. There's some kind of gift coming through for you from the universe. And again, don't know if that's in terms of money just yet, but I definitely had more of an optimistic feel. I did for the reading. You do have some challenging times throughout the course of July. There are some periods, as I say, you're coming out of a heavy energy, so you definitely have some issues to kind of counter with this. You've got, I'm just going to point to a couple of the cards, even though they're more specific to the Lovers card. Doesn't necessarily mean lovers, but can be relationships just in general that that you're finding to be a little bit weighing heavy on you at this time. There's definitely some self-sabotage. There can be some anxiety coming through here as well. As I mentioned, there was the card of reciprocity, but there is some optimistic cards here coming through, and that you are coming out of an area, a time of loss and grief, and just feeling like you have been burdened with something. And you do have some conflict, although again, these cards are a little further down, but you do have some conflict. These are actually clarifiers that I've pulled for example, with the Two of Cups. You also have a clarifier with the Six of Cups, and that would be the Four of Wands. So I pull clarifiers on a lot of them just because I like to be more specific. I don't like it to be too general on that level. Sometimes, as I say, I think things can mislead you if you are just reading with the one card, and that's why I also use many decks. So I'll get right into it here in a second. Oh, and I did forget one of the other, just the basic card decks is what I'm using here. Again, I just pull random decks for that. So unfortunately, I don't have a name for you on the cards for that one, just because they are, or maybe I do. Yeah, those are just regular playing deck cards, but I don't see any name on it. So, nonetheless, it is, but I will be reading from the book that relates to that, which is the Fortune Telling Playing Cards deck, and that is by Jonathan B. So, I'll also, or D, sorry, Jonathan D. I'll just quickly mention as well, there was a lot of overlap with these cards. So definitely there's some strong energies that are coming through that that indicate to me that you are dealing with some real difficulty trying to get past something that's been very emotionally draining for you. And as I said, with the Golden Tarot deck, you do have the Strength card that's coming through as well there with the Four of Cups. And again, that's, feeling a sense of sadness and loss. Some of the energies that are coming through, of course, I did feel were also about you just feeling like you'd lost some of your spark, your motivation. But you are getting a lot of cards throughout this reading and throughout the multi-decks here that indicate that you are you're starting back on the path, or at least making some small incremental steps in the month of July toward clearing your mind, getting back on track. You may have been starting to do this through some of the other months, as I mentioned, but for the month of July, it feels like you reached some kind of understanding or aha moment. And there's definitely some kind of a healing with relationships. And I feel family is a big part of this. I also feel there's a celebration coming through, probably toward the end of July, but there is some kind of family celebration and get together that is also fairly significant. So, okay, so I'll start with the far cards at the back. These ones are, oh, and I didn't mention, that's the Fortune Reading Cards by Sharina Starr, illustrations by Richard Crooks, and that would be the Moon and the Dragonfly. So that would be these two cards at the back. So I will stop to put my candles back on if they do go out. Sorry, it's kind of a thing when it's late at night to keep them going here. So with the Moon card, it's pay attention to your intuition at this time and move ahead confidently. As I mentioned, I should also mention it just before I get started here. These cards, the readings are very general. So when they are general readings, I feel that you can only piecemeal elements that relate to you. Don't try to force a fit. So I also feel that when you are reading the cards, or when the cards are being read, not all of the qualities of that particular card resonate. I think that there are themes that there are significant themes that, you know, maybe overshadow the reading, but I definitely feel that I'm speaking to about two or three different Pisces here, or groups of Pisces that will relate to this particular reading, just because I did feel that there was, more specifically, as I said, something coming through that dealt with grief and some kind of death of some sort. So I do feel that that's not going to resonate for everybody. And again, don't try to force the fit. It's a general reading, but certainly there are a lot of elements, themes that are quite strong that are coming through on this reading. So again, general reading, but certainly anything that occurs in the month of July, I feel are highlights, which also carry through to other months. I don't think you resolve all of your problems in one month. I think that we're a complicated, humanity is complicated, and our problems are deeper rooted than, you know, having them resolve in a month. So I do feel there's always going to be trace elements of a residual of issues that will carry through over the course of the year, maybe years for some. And again, the speed at which something transpires is more relevant to how quickly that person is able to heal and move forward, versus another Pisces that might be able to heal much faster with an issue and can move ahead faster. So I feel there's some staggering effects there. So even though the Pisces, the 2 or 3 Pisces, for example, that I might resonate here with, for this reading, the speed at which somebody resolves an issue or goes through it will be different for each one of you. So you might all be dealing with, let's say 2 or 3 of you may be dealing with a death. But again, everybody has this different staggering point, because you have different influences, different environment, different headspace, different experiences, things that will interplay to support systems. All of those things are relevant to your healing. So again, even though I think you're kind of predestined in some way to go through certain life lessons, I feel the way in which you choose to learn your lesson is entirely up to you. So I guess in that sense, what I'm really saying is that we always have the ability to change our future and make an impact. But when you listen intuitively for guidance, you will be led to an easier path versus a harder way, which may take a lot longer to integrate and heal from. Okay, so anyway, moving on past that, again, each card, not every quality may resonate here, but certainly there are some elements that you will be able to speak to or relate to. Okay, so with the Moon card, and again, each deck is a little bit different in the way that the Moon card is represented. You know, a lot of times it can represent the unconscious. It can represent secrets or things yet to be revealed. The Moon card is in this sense, with this particular card, or this particular deck, is also about intuition. So again, each of the decks has some overlapping energies, but there's also some very strong distinctions in how they are represented. So normally where the card for Moon can be talking about a warning or deception, I feel for you much of this is really your own disillusionment, things that deal with your own insecurities and things that, you know, things that affected you on a very personal, deep soul level, something that needed to come to the light, that confusion, that anxiety, that fear, so that you could deal with it. And so that's what I feel is happening here for you for the month of July, is that there is that aha moment. There is a peeling back of those subconscious layers where you're able to not feel so emotionally drained, you know, where you're actually able to use your intuition, because it is extremely strong for the month of July, and you're able to rely upon those instinctual dreams or feelings or other messages, signs, however they come to you. Everybody's a little bit different. Some people it's repeating numbers, some people it's, which you can always look up online, because repeating numbers can also have some varied meanings as well. But overall, you know, anything that's relating to twos and fours and those kinds of things are about harmony and balance, and always trying to restore that balance, basically. So I'm just giving a quick example. But again, with the Moon energy, it's about you trying to solve those problems, and with your intuition, you're actually able to solve them much faster. So I feel that you are in that hermit mode. I feel you're in an introspective space here for July, and have been probably struggling with that a little bit over the course of the few months. I feel that you are spending some time alone here, and you're trying to sort of nourish your soul and regain some sense of who you are again. In terms of personal relationships, I feel that you are going to be moving ahead more confidently as the month goes on. It is an ideal time for you to start having fresh ideas, and you know, start thinking about creatively inspired projects. And it's also about a confrontation can also be coming through, which I do feel it is coming through, because as I mentioned or showed you earlier, you've got 3 cards here with the Two of Cups, the Knight of Cups, and the Three of Swords, which indicate that there is some kind of conflict there. So I do feel there is going to be some kind of a confrontation at some point here with some kind of a relationship. I don't know that it's yeah, I feel there's a resolve for it, though, is what I'm really getting at, though. I don't feel that it's something that scars you to the point where there's a carry on of it over the course of years. So I do feel that there is some kind of resolve coming through. So again, with the Moon energy, this is about a confrontation, or it can be about, which I do feel in the month of July, there is some kind of heated discussion, something that's coming up, but you're just being asked to just tread lightly and be careful, you know, about how you approach things. Avoid gossip and all of that. Because at this time, it's about your inner healing, and you don't need to be causing unnecessary hurt or deeper wounds that will just layer on top of issues that you're already, you know, feeling compounded by. So again, this is a chance to completely change your life and move forward. So this is about making a money wish, and it's about a good time for things to start coming true for you. And again, you also have the card of the wishing well and the spark. And this also speaks to the same. It's about you starting to focus your intention to move forward and take back your power and listen for answers from the universe, and try to resolve some of those heavy energies that you've been dragging yourself through. The dragonfly is about having confidence during this time of great joy, renewal, and connection to spirit. So again, it's representing renewal, which you also have some other cards that speak to that as well in this reading. But it's a deeper way of living. So there's a doorway that's opening. And again, I mentioned earlier that you also have a way coming through with the rune cards that also speaks to the same. There's a new opening that's arriving for you to travel through so that you can find your own answers. So with this opening, with the dragonfly as well, it's also speaking to you taking more of a more spiritual outlook and understanding. Again, this also speaks to strong intuition. So again, whether it's prophetic dreams or something that's coming through with, feathers coming down, or certain rocks that you feel you draw energy from, or crystals, that kind of thing. It doesn't always have to be a crystal. Sometimes just regular stones, I feel, have a grounding energy, whether it's picked up from the beach, or if something just simply has a grounding energy for you, whether it is something that someone's given you, a locket, or jewelry, whatever it is. It's wherever you draw some empowerment, some grounding, some strength from. So anyway, this card again is about looking at things from a new perspective, but it's also that you're finding this new perspective. So you're not having to necessarily, because the card itself, the dragonfly, symbolizes change. So somewhere along this line, when you, throughout the month of July, you're finding this aha moment leads you to this new perspective. And I feel that it is in walking down memory lane that you actually come across this life-changing thought or perspective or decision that allows you to feel that you have gained some confidence and you've regained some kind of empowerment or force within yourself to be able to move forward. I feel that your intuition is also going to guide you toward like-minded people, friendships, even old friends from the past are starting to come back here in the month of July. I do feel that there's family celebrations. Again, that's coming through on more than one front here. Dragonfly was only one part of that, but it's also coming through with the, with the Six of Cups and the Four of Wands. So again, that's the clarifier is the Four of Wands, and the Six of Cups is that nostalgic energy, but I feel it's family related here. Old friends coming back, going down memory lane, that kind of thing, as I mentioned. So again, with the dragonfly, that speaks to the same about family reunions and old friends returning. So there is some kind of enjoyable time that's coming up ahead here, where you're feeling more certain about people and just about your life in general. There's again, some kind of aha moment. It doesn't all completely clear and everything's back on track 100%, but you are definitely moving toward that change. So the dragonfly does speak to, in terms of career and money, constant change. So it also speaks to you being able to accomplish your goals. You do have some self-doubts for sure to overcome here in the month of July, but I do feel that that's disappearing because you are finding some newfound strength. And again, as I mentioned earlier, the card of strength was coming through with the other deck, the Golden Tarot. So I do feel that with the dragonfly, there's adaptability here. So you are able to get past life's roller coaster, the highs and lows, the peaks, the valleys, that kind of thing, the twists, the turns, and you have to remember all of these things are relevant in life, because wherever there's pain and deep soul searching, you also blossom. You also give yourself the opportunity. You don't always have to take it. I mean, you can struggle for however long you choose to feel the pain because it's familiar, and that's not always, as I say, a healthy way to stay. It's not a good way to stay. It's not a good way to how do I phrase that? Dwelling is not a good way to overcome things, because the longer you stay in that energy, you're also layering other experiences, other situations on top of other situations, which then make things oftentimes more permanent and more difficult to unravel. So again, try to go within, search for those answers, and try to be adaptable. Know that those twists, the turns, the highs, the lows, the curves in the road are all parts of how you find the keys to open up your own spirit and to grow. because these are the areas where you have some unresolved issues and we bury things. And that's why it's important to look for our own keys so that we can avoid overwhelm, burnout, be a little more free floating in life, less weight on our shoulders, feel more empowered, because you're becoming more true to yourself. You're becoming the truest part of yourself when you allow yourself to be free of the heavy burdens or the doors you closed in the past, to be able to focus on what was in front of you. So again, this is an opportunity to heal some of those wounds and enjoy living life to the fullest without that self-doubt, because you are finding your keys. Okay, so that is the fortune deck. I'm going to read I think I'll get into the decks here. Actually, I think, well, no, probably can't see them very well. I'll pull the first two cards forward here. So you've got the Nine of Spades and the Jack of Clubs. So these do represent people, or at least the Jack of Clubs does. So what I would say with the Jack of Clubs is this it can be your energy or it can be somebody in your sphere. So however that resonates for you. And sometimes some of the people that come up in readings can actually be layerings of a person. So it's not necessarily 12 different people that you're seeing in a reading, but it can be different qualities that relate to that same character. But with the Jack of Clubs, this is really a card of somebody who is possibly having dark hair. Doesn't have to be. They could have dark eyes. But again, it's more about the energies relating around this individual. So the person generally tends to be idealistic and romantic, somebody who's really restless. Could be a fiery energy, somebody who represents a Sagittarius, because the Sagittarius is the sign of the Archer. So this can also relate to events that may have occurred during this past November to December 21st of 2019. But either way, the Jack of Clubs is a faithful friend, someone who's honest and respectful, or respectable rather, and someone who could represent a younger person, a younger energy, similar to like a knight basically, or a page. But it's somebody who has found romantic success in their life, and whoever this person was or is somebody that was really a good person, somebody who really is just very heart-based, I guess I would say. Somebody who's just, as I say, just very heart-based, thoughtful, helpful person. But I do feel that this is somebody who, is generally pretty positive and was likely to be, or is likely to be, somebody who's quite good. So on another spectrum of the Jack of Clubs, this can represent somebody who is, or rather situational, where it can be marital strife or quarrels and sorrow. It's also, again, next to the Nine of Spades, which also speaks to that disappointment. So, I mean, it could be situational versus a person, and it could very well be because they are close together here. So it is a card of disappointment with the Nine of Spades, and it could represent a Gemini energy. Again, doesn't have to be. It's just the energy of the person or that astrological sign. But it is indicating that you feel trapped or restricted in some way. There's a refusal to take into account other people's expectations. There's a tendency to kind of follow your own whims without thinking things through. It's that inner turmoil that's going on in your own head that sometimes can turn to anger or confrontation, aggression. And unfortunately, the reputation of the Nine of Spades is not very good. It's one of the worst cards in terms of it's speaking to an end of a way of life, basically. It's the collapse of previous old values or beliefs that were outmoded or needed to change. It's that feeling of dejection, rejection, something that needed to end. And so this is an opportunity for a fresh start because it is an ending. It's a forced change that was thrust upon you. It was something that was unwelcome, and it was something that, was an upheaval that forced you to abandon selfish ways and to become more thoughtful and considerate of the feelings of others. So whether this is part of that realization, that aha moment that you're coming to in the month of July, or something that you had previously started to resolve, either way, it's something that was relevant for your healing. With the Four of Spades and the Four of Hearts, again, twos and fours and eights and that kind of thing, and sixes about finding balance and all of that. But with the fours, this is really about, well, the Four of Spades more specifically is about peace and quiet. It also represents a Libra energy, so it could be a Libra in your sphere. But it's also about personal relationships, and it's about that path of self-discovery. It's about you also in social settings with friends and colleagues, but also feeling lonely in the crowd. So again, I still feel that you're healing from something. It's not that you're resolving everything in the month of July. I just feel that you are getting past something. So again, the spades are a harmonious card or this is the most harmonious card in the spade suit, but it does speak of taking that time away to go through those trials and tribulations of life, and that question period, that stressful period. You're taking some time to slow down and take a breath and reassess where you're at. I feel that you have some very depleted energies. I feel that you're quite sad at this time, or that there is something that's bringing you sadness. You may not be sad every day, but I feel that there's something that has created some kind of deep sadness. But the time is changing here with this card. So it's necessary, it's desperately necessary for this change to occur, for you to rest and pull back. And again, it's a bit of a warning to slow down, because if you don't slow down, it'll be forced upon you, and it'll be in some stress-related ailment, something that comes up that makes you feel unwell. So with the Four of Hearts here, this is about kindness. It can represent a Cancer. Cancer represents the moon energy as well, in which, of course, you had the moon energy in the beginning of the reading. But it does refer to being very intuitive at this time and very sensitive. Could be very moody, but Cancers are very family-oriented people and very home-loving. And so I feel that, and this card, of course, is one of protection and that maternal element. It's a charitable card as well. So it's also about you helping others with no thought of reward. You're not looking for some kind of payback. It's about showing, it's a period here with this Four of Hearts of you showing no self-interest. It's about you taking second place to the needs of others. It implies some kind of self-sacrifice for the greater good. So it's about your not trying to gain personally, although there is personal gain in a different way, where you're satisfied in helping someone else. But and it was all due to this new self-knowledge from the help that you were given intuitively. So it means that you're working in a happy, contented environment, and you're doing something that you feel is worthwhile, rather than simply getting on with whatever it is that you need to do for a paycheck. You're actually starting to see that there is some importance in what you do, or you're wanting to maybe that's your aha moment, where you're finally realizing you need to move on. You need to do something that has more meaning for you in the month of July. Okay, so I think I will read the Sacred Geometry cards. These ones are actually, as I say, it's a new deck for me, so I'll definitely be referring to the book on this, because it's it's really new for me. So it's about the Genesis pattern, planting the seed. And sacred geometry, of course, speaks of all kinds of patterns throughout nature that are also inherent in the human form. But this one in particular is about planting the seed. So planting the seed is about manifesting these new beginnings and a fresh start in your life. So I guess it would be really the equivalent of the aces in the Rider-Waite decks. But basically, this something has been planted. It's still in infancy. So you're starting to move toward something, whether it's starting a business, changing your business structure, starting a new job, a new relationship, or, maybe conceiving a baby. I don't see the abundance card out there, so that's probably a little more farther fetched, but it is a time of new beginnings and fresh starts here. So the Genesis pattern, or that seed of life, is within everything. It's within the beginning of all universal patterns. It's the pattern that is seen with the flower of life. So this is known to be, they make reference to it in the book as explaining the 6 days of creation, where the 7th day is the day of rest. And it also represents the 7 colors of the rainbow and the 7 main chakras of the body. So again, repeating patterns in life, help to solidify things for us, sometimes put us back on a track by increasing our energy. But in particular, sometimes when you can meditate on a particular symbol, it can help to provide you with answers or things that help to guide you anyway. But nonetheless, this is about whatever you're planning right now, you need to start it. So your intentions need to be focused. You need to be able to go deep into yourself to be able to bring about this transformation of whatever it is that you're trying to visualize and bring to fruition. You have to have trust, you have to have faith, and you are working within the parameters of what the universe has in store for you. But know that it is there. Something is there for you, and you need to act on it. We get little windows. And it's not that the windows don't reopen again, but we get little windows of opportunity for certain energies to come through, whether it's all of a sudden a surge to complete a project and you've got all this energy and it needs to go somewhere. That's the universe helping you out to accomplish that. It won't be there every month, so take advantage of these windows. So the Dream Weaver is about laying foundations and manifestation, as the card says, and it's about you taking full control of your life again. It's about, visualizing, finding your own empowerment, being in your own power. It's about you taking control of your time, your space, your energy, creating some boundaries around your life so that you can surrender to your fears. Basically, and this wasn't the only card that spoke to that as well. There was other cards that spoke to you trying to control everything without allowing yourself room to make mistakes. And several cards, as I mentioned, I know one other one in particular, but I'll pick it out later as we go along, but spoke to the same thing about you trying to create a strong foundation and balance, but not being afraid to make a few mistakes along the way. It's okay to make those mistakes because, of course, that's how we learn and grow, but it also releases some of the pressure so you don't feel stymied and that you're not able to move forward fast enough or unlock your brain to see more creative solutions. So you want to be able to create some strong foundations that help you along your path. And again, you're taking back your power with this card. It's about you finding a sense of balance. It's about realizing where you have been limiting yourself as well. And it's time again to take charge of your life here and manifest the dreams that you want and desire. So this is an adaptation of the spider web, is how the card is referenced, and it also speaks to the spider being adaptable. So you also have a lot of other, with the dragonfly, about that adaptability being important. So again, be adaptable, be changeable, and as the spider is, and where they're able to build the web over and over and over again. But every time they build the web, it's unique and it's a true masterpiece. And I think that's why it's important that you don't concern yourself with whether or not you've made what you think is a failure or a mistake, because you're getting something more unique out of that situation. You've created something where you're actually able to build on that foundation. Even if you saw it as a failure or a mistake, there's something out of it that is going to become beautiful out of that. So this is Metatron's cube, which is used to create the web, and its important patterns in the universe. They hold the map or the blueprint of creation. So it's all 5 Platonic solids, and it's all about the decahedron creating balance for you. And again, this is the card of trying to create flow of energy by creating a firm infrastructure around ourselves to ground ourselves and connect to our soul purpose. And just to remember, we are those master builders. You know, we reap what we sow. And again, there's other cards that reference that exact same phraseology where, you know, what you put out to the world is what you're going to get back. If you have distrust in the world, you will get distrust back. People won't trust you. Money comes to me easily and freely and frequently is something that is stated in the book with this particular card. So, you know, whether you see that you have limitations on money, and this is why that reference was made, or whether or not you feel you have limitations in some other way, it's important to remember or recognize that you have more freedom when you change your perspective and see things with a more open-minded, because when you're open-minded, you're more creative, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. So, okay, moving past that, we'll get on to the, I think I will go to the, okay, so this is actually the Numerology guidance cards, and this is happy ending. Definitely excellent card. And again, this is for the month of July. So, I mean, clearly you've got some kind of resolve. I think you've got the aha moment. I think you've got reconnection with people that you may have been a little bit estranged from, or there was some difficulty or conflict around. But either way, there's some kind of celebration again toward the end of July. And for sure, with this happy ending card, there's something that's been resolved. So it is a confirmation. It's also letting you know that even though it seems, you know, impossible. Sorry, 1 second. I have a cat in the room that's eating things he shouldn't be. Anyway, with that card, it's also about, you know, where things seem a little impossible at this time. It's reaffirming to you that you actually do have a favorable outcome that's within your reach. So you're attracting what you are, again, with that same resonating energy. You're attracting what you are. So if you do good in the world, good is coming back to you. Not just in a karmic front, but it's also because it's the energy that is surrounding you. So again, with this card, you're also building a fortune of some sort. You're bringing yourself good fortune. You know, the happiness card is good fortune. So it doesn't have to be necessarily monetary. It can be on many fronts, whatever is important to you that brings you a happy ending here. But you're attracting a positive outcome either way. And it's sooner rather than later. Again, as I felt, it would be more toward the end of July. But I feel that by acting as if what you want has already come to you, you know, you're actually able to generate that and draw it to you faster. So you're being encouraged to focus your attention on the outcome that you want, you know, versus the outcome that you fear. So you attract what you think about most, as that old adage goes. And when you focus on your dreams can become realities. So just be grateful for the happiness that's going to be coming, and for what you have had to rely upon, and just remain optimistic and hopeful, because that's what this card is really saying. You know, it's coming to you. It's just a matter of the universe synchronizing things, lining it up, but it is coming to you. You just have to be ready for it, because if it comes too soon and you're not open and you haven't had the aha moment, you won't appreciate what's coming in. So again, that's why synchronicity and timing and all of those things are really significant, because if you don't have an appreciation for what's coming in, you won't see it as an advantage for you. So love and partnership. Again, with love and partnership, I feel that this speaks to a couple of different people here, as I say, because I don't feel that they're all love relationships. I feel that some of these could be familial partnerships where there's a loving connection, of course, as well. And then in other cases, it's, truly a love partnership, somebody that you have a long-term relationship with, karmic relationship, whatever it is. But it's some kind of romantic relationship for some, and for others, it's maybe a familial relationship. But either way, you're about to have that reconciliation, or that, which there's other cards that speak also to that reconciliation toward the end of July. But there's also something that's about to progress on a deeper level of understanding. And again, it's with somebody you already know. It is some kind of current relationship. So there's either some kind of recommitment between you and a love partner, or you and a friendship, or you and a familial friendship relationship. But there's some kind of re-establishment of that. And you're being encouraged to focus on what you have to offer rather than on what you'd like to receive. Because again, you're attracting a mutually loving relationship that is for both of you. So you might have to believe that that love exists, or that friendship is there, or that trust and faith is okay to go ahead and able to attract it into that partnership. You have to believe that it's possible before you can make it happen. If you walk around thinking everything is against you, then of course it will be, because you're never open enough to receive it or see it any other way. So, okay, I think the next cards that I'll read will be Wisdom of the Hidden Realms cards. So that would be the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms cards. So I'll just read the Lady of the Gift. So that's about generosity, receiving, and withholding. So this card is really speaking to bringing you that message that something about you giving to others. And again, it's that reciprocity is not just in this card. It is also with the Six of Pentacles over here. And but again, it comes through on a few different fronts here. There's something about that reciprocity, something about a message that the world is. They make a reference in the book, actually, that refers to the church and how you only need to distribute 10% of your wealth to ensure that that flow continues. Well, that reciprocity is not just in terms of tithe, or however it's pronounced, with religion, but it's also more specific to, giving away your time, giving away your energy, giving away, money could also be a part of it as well. But it's some kind of direct action, some kind of direct charity. So you're looking at people with this card as being important in the grand scheme of things, and you're showing others that you believe in them, or you need to show others that you believe in them. You need to pay attention to how you treat people and be mindful of your perception. Even of somebody who you consider poor, if you see others as successful and abundant, and you act as if that you believe they have value, then things come back to you in the same way. So you have to look for something in others that you believe adds value. Why is it that they add value to your life or to the world? And really appreciate people. So your belief in others has greater value than you could imagine. So this quality alone that you have guarantees success over the long term, and it can really establish some really strong relationships if you only keep what you're willing to give. And actually, you can only keep what you're willing to give, is basically what the card is saying. So just again, be mindful of how you view others and see their value, not just your own. So the next card is the Lady of the Mirror, and this is reflection and non-judgment. So this is about the mirror as your challenge. So it's how you see yourself. The mirror is asking you to see yourself and how the events of your life have shaped you in that sense of law of attraction, And again, you are what you attract. You're getting that message repeatedly. So this card is not telling you to blame yourself. It's really more, and it's not telling you to see yourself as a victim. It's about looking at the bigger picture and seeing if there is a distortion in your interpretation of the way you see this law. So certain events are fated sometimes to test our faith and to see how we'll react. So certain things happen to us to see what we will do with it. And then again, it can also have some negative karma or negative energy surrounding it if we choose something selfish when it was really something that we distorted in our favor. So again, it's about finding the value in others and finding yourself within the web that's, the web of your life and how it's been woven in your relationships and your opportunities and, desires and failures and successes, all of those things, and observe how you've responded to those challenges, whether they're large or small, whatever it is, and don't judge them. Accept things as they were, but do the right thing. Honor every part of your story. Honor the things that you had to do and had to overcome, and see yourself, not in a negative light, but seeing yourself exactly as where you need to be on your path. So you want to look into that mirror and say to yourself, do I like what I see? If do I not only like what I see, but if I were to see someone else in the same situation, how would I view them? So your motives behind your self-appraisal, be honest, is basically what it's saying here. So because when you're honest with yourself, you can be honest with others. And when you're honest with others, it's really a mirror of where you're at. A lot of the things around us mirror issues maybe we haven't quite resolved that have been a shadow part of ourself, or mirroring things that are closer to the surface. But either way, that mirror is how do I put that? The mirror is really a reflection in all of the things around us in our life. So if things appear to be extremely negative, it's really oftentimes how we're viewing ourselves, or how we're talking to ourselves, or how we're viewing the world. It's a broader picture is what I'm getting at. So again, integrate that shadowy part, as they say. Integrate the shadow parts of yourself so that you can move forward. Understand that that is what you had to do for the time that you felt you needed to do it, but try to move ahead, move beyond that, not forgetting it, but move beyond it so that it is a part of growth and can be integrated. So you're not trying to dismiss it and say everything you did was fine. You're trying to find growth in it, is what I'm trying to get at here. And I'm very winded, so unfortunately I couldn't say that any more succinct. It's just how I am. Okay, so the next card is the Six of Voices, and again, this is the Muse Tarot deck. So with the Six of Voices, I did feel, okay, let's bring it forward here. With the Six of Voices, it's about that time of transition, which, again, lots of these cards speak to you going through some kind of transition. So with the transition, there's help that's coming in from unexpected places. You're getting divine guidance. You're getting maybe even ancestors that are trying to speak to you at this time, trying to guide you and give you some kind of assurance. But it's quiet movement. So it is going to be success with this card, but it's quiet movement toward that successful expansion, and it's definitely coming after a period of difficulty. So you're crossing some kind of threshold. There's definitely change. There's some kind of realignment here. You're definitely transitioning. As I said, with the Six of Voices, it is definitely a card of difficult transition, and you're being given a helping hand from the universe. So somebody, ancestors or whoever that may have recently passed, but somebody is coming through to help you to find solace and to find a passage that helps you to, you know, find a new state of living and loving and getting in touch with those things again. So sometimes when you cross the river, it's a little muddy and unclear, and we're a little more reluctant to cross through. But again, just remember, you need to be open to receive, because that's, you get healing from unexpected places. You get answers oftentimes from unexpected places. So don't assume that your only answers are going to come from within. Sometimes putting yourself into new situations can bring about new answers. So with the Eight of Voices, this is also about you feeling stuck and bound. And again, that was the Four of Cups energy as well. You've got the Five of Pentacles energy, all sort of around that same idea. So it's about you feeling stuck, bound, you know, not feeling like you have any choices. You also have the Eight of Swords here as well that spoke to that same energy, you know, self-sabotage and feeling stuck and bound. And so again, lots of repeating cards here. You know, you're just, you have been feeling, not just through the month of July, but also through, you know, obviously this would be a heavier card, so it's coming from months prior, but you're feeling disempowered in some way, and you feel like maybe disbelief, or you've got no way out. You know, you feel like you have just run up against hard luck, you know, something that you can't see ahead. You don't know where to go. You're feeling like you want to give up, like you can't. You don't want to go ahead. You feel that way. You might still be pushing yourself through. You might be, you know, having some emotional moments where you're just feeling twisted up inside, and things just seem like they're multiplying, and there's that sense of hopelessness, but you're not actually stuck. Because with the Eight of Voices, as well as really the equivalent, the Eight of Swords, you know, you're loosely bound in this card. You know, you're not, it's really a card of self-imposed prison, as is the Eight of Voices. You know, you have to look at the options around you. If you don't look, you don't see them. You actually have a lot of things to be grateful for. And if you really just open up your eyes and get out of your head a little bit and start to find a way to create something, make something, listen to music that brings about a good memory, you know, again, looking for options, being aware of your breath, and taking a look at nature and appreciating those things, you're going to start to see that you have a lot more to be grateful for and can use that as a foundation to spring from. Okay, so the Three of Emotions. This card is, again, it's about friendship and joy and celebration. So again, I felt that that was coming through at the end of the month. There's some kind of collaboration. You know, you're looking to your soul family, as they say, for support here. So it's about siblings, it's about connected hearts, it's about deep friendships. You know, it can be about connections to all kinds of whatever family means to you, or whoever you consider to be family. But it's that soul collection. It's those deep connections, you know, those kinships where there's truth, honesty, and you're okay to be vulnerable. You know, these are ties that run deep, and people that support one another, and you're connecting with this group. You're connecting with these people that you consider to be the heart of your family. So, as I said, this is where you're drawing your strength from. This is where you're building on your foundation. Okay, so past that one, I will read I think I'll read this is the Crow Tarot deck, and really nice cards too, actually. I don't read this one very often, but I did get this one in Vancouver, and they're quite nice. It was a really special, unique store that had some very, very interesting symbols and jewelry and tarot cards, and just a really eclectic unique story, and if I can remember what it is, I'll tell you on the next reading. But anyway, so this is actually the Queen of Pentacles, and this again can represent a person. It can also represent situation, but basically, in terms of a person, it can represent somebody who has a very loving energy or a motherly energy, someone who's trying to provide comfort and soothe your heart, and somebody who is compassionate and kind. But really, this person is quite a strong person. Queens are leaders in their own right. They just lead in a different way than a king would lead. So might be more detail oriented, that kind of thing. But with the queen, it's someone who brings security to your and balances you out, and somebody who can really handle it, or handle, loving you and creating that security, and again, somebody who can protect and who's resourceful, all of those things. So this could be your energy, or it could be somebody around you. But there's also that risk of going to the far extreme where this Queen of Pentacles can also smother by, nitpicking and, getting a little bit overbearing and over controlling and that kind of thing. So, so that could be the other aspect. But again, I feel it is talking about a person in this regard. And so with the sun energy, I mean, the sun for sure can illuminate or highlight problems or situations, or something that needs to be, attention drawn to it. But it's also a card of optimism. And again, you've got this several times too, card of optimism. You've got the star card, you've got the sun card here as well. So with the sun card in the crow deck, this is about optimism, positivity, success, happiness, and good fortune. So again, you've got repeats of all of that coming through, and it's just that energy of the sun that's illuminating the path and the things that you want to accomplish. Luck is on your side here with this card. There's warmth in your surroundings. You've got, good people around you to raise that vibration, and raise your own frequency. So you're feeling more content to be able to go forward. You're feeling more optimistic to be able to go forward. The next card is actually the Knight of Wands. Knights for sure are, can represent messages that are coming through here. But with the wands, it's also a fiery energy. It's a fast-moving energy. I feel it can represent a person, as I say, or it can represent a situation as well. But with the Knight of Wands, this is really somebody who is inspirational, somebody who's, this could be, again, it could be you, or it could be somebody in your sphere, but it's somebody who's inspirational and really determined, and somebody that has that take charge quality, somebody who has the power to move forward and confident, successful, somebody who's got a lot of enthusiasm, because wands represent enthusiasm and passion and all of those things. So it's about you finding the balance, either you finding the balance between your, project and trying to get clear thought on your situation and how you're going to find that success. Or again, it's reflecting a person who just sort of jumps in and, doesn't really weigh the consequences out, just jumps in and heads forward. But I feel in this case, it is a little more along bringing you a message with the Six of Cups. And again, that's an emotional energy here. With the Six of Cups, it's still, bringing about that nostalgic energy, as you already had a repeat of that card with the Six of Cups and the Four of Wands, that family sort of reconciliation, friends, family, some kind of union of sorts there that was coming up. But with the Six of Cups, again, it is about returning to that place of your youth. It could also signify something that relates to your finding your inner child again and filling up your heart with those memories, and thinking about times that were less complicated, where you weren't feeling overwhelmed and overburdened with day-to-day responsibilities. It's really about a cup with a message saying, take a break. Remember those moments when you did feel free and you did enjoy your life and things were times were happier, you know, whether it's your hometown or a favorite vacation spot, but whatever it is that helps you to recharge your spirit here is basically what that message is that you need to recharge your spirit. So that is those cards. And we also are now moving on to, I think I'll read the Wishing Well card. So the Wishing Well card, okay, so these ones are the Enchanted Map, and that was by Colette Baron Reid. So the Wishing Well card is, again, just that. You're making a wish. So it's about letting go of your attachment to ownership of things and things that you thought to be important, you know, your desire on creating life in a particular way. And now you're actually able to see the relationship between that desire and that inspiration. So you're able to manifest things, but you're also sensing moments of truth. This is where you get that aha moment. It's where everything starts to make sense. So it's, you know, you're recognizing, you know, whether it's a love relationship or an idea or something that's awakening you, again, that's helping you to be present and enable that new beginning. So it's activating possibilities. You are now starting to co-create in your world, you know, by co-creating with the universe. You're allowing for the divine to come through, because again, you do have strong intuition in the month of July. And I feel it's because you have some kind of ancestral relationship that's coming through to help aid you with that. But it's, again, we don't control that process of growth entirely, because there is some guidance that comes through from other sources. You know, we are also, to a degree, a product of our environment, but we also do have the ability to control some aspects of our own growth, but you're still pulling in from your support group, you're still pulling in from the divine or ancestors, or you know, where you found strength. You're pulling in from a lot of different resources to be able to channel your strength and move forward. So this is about, you know, relinquishing any attachment that you had about how things should be and how they should turn out and how they should appear. And it's about you forming a new intention, taking action on it, and dropping your coin into the wishing well and just trusting in spirit and knowing that this is an opportunity for you to believe in a little bit of magic, have a little bit of faith. You do, because spirit can't operate in the physical world in the way that we operate in the physical world. That is why I consider magic really when you're operating between the two. There's a bridge between the two. When you have divine intervention and guidance, you're able to find some of the shortcuts to create what you need in the physical realm, because action is the only thing that's going to create that. Standing still doesn't create. You need to actually explore, open the keys to the rooms within yourself to be able to find your spark, you know, to be able to find the things that have meaning to you. They're buried. That's why it's such a process. Life is a process of finding the ways and the people and the experiences that help to unlock those parts of ourselves that we need to be able to spark that creativity or spark that optimism, spark that hope, you know, to be able to be inspired and allow life to show us the beautiful things around us, and so that we can take part in it. So, and this is what this card is about. It's about you synchronize, the universe has synchronized things, and it's letting you know that this is the perfect time to give birth to that idea, start a new relationship or a job, or begin something new, period. You know, you're able to attract what it is that you want and connect with others. So again, that's co-creation, but it's about attracting happy experiences to yourself. You can do this now if you allow yourself to receive. It is a time where you actually can benefit from activities with other people, and from just, as I said, opening up to attract new experiences. Okay, so next card, the ones that I'll read now, this is actually, as I mentioned before, another new deck that I've added, and I have another two that are coming too that I thought would be kind of interesting, but this is actually the Ancestral Cards. So this is the cards that are giving, that your ancestors are helping to lead you with. So this is the advice that's coming through. Again, this deck is a little more, it's a quick read in one sense, but it's a little unclear in others. But the card basically is asking you to ask yourself questions. So this is called the Lad, and you also have the Lord of Life. But with the Lad, this is your ancestors are basically saying it's time to keep your eye on the ball and stay in the game. You know, and able to be a good player, you have to have, and able to be a good player that others will respect, you know, you have to know your potentialities. You know what I mean? You have to know what you're capable of. So someone here is about to offer you an opportunity. Something's coming in for you, and you have to be ready for that power to pass your way. So you're earning a reputation by the things that you do. So be aware of the things that you do. So when you do become too serious, that you lose that spontaneity is what the card is basically saying. And when that evaporates, you feel dry and worn out, and you're not able to play. You know, you're not able to be, you're not balanced, and you're not able to find the things that you seek. So the family wisdom that's coming through with the Lad is, I enjoy whatever keeps my interest and uses my skill to its utmost. So really the card is just saying, you know, it's the equivalent of the Fool, jumping in basically full of energy, taking a leap of faith here. So it's not that you don't have any idea of what your skills are, but it's about using those skills in daily routine. When you use things on a daily basis or in a regular way, in play, it actually becomes, you grow up to become the warrior. You know, you have unswerving courage is how the card puts it. So it's the ability to use things that you would do in play for fun as weapons, not to harm, but I mean as tools to defend your borders or to be courageous. So spend the time doing things that you love to do and in play, not to become too serious, so that you're able to use them later in life to build on. So this is called the Lord of Life. And again, this is what the wisdom of your elders or your ancestors are coming through with. So again, the general attitude of the Lord of Life is really saying what needs to be set free, what impels you. So what inspires you here, and where does that lead you? So in terms of health, you want to say to yourself, what are the signs of change that you've noticed, and you know, what are you holding yourself back from? In terms of love and friendship, you know, how can you bridge what's built between you and the other? You know, what can you share? So the family gift that's coming through with this card is they're saying, I bestow the gift of good beginnings. The ability to step over the threshold boldly is your rightful heritage. So in childhood, the young adult is still formulating how their life purpose will unfold. And it gently teaches us how to recognize what attracts us and how to be of service in the world and how we can use our skills and gifts. So this is what brings power and joy back to the world, is when you figure out how to use your skills and gifts, and you get back on your life purpose and you use those skills and gifts. So that's what your ancestors are bringing forward to you. They're letting you know, start playing, start using those skills and gifts get on the path, because these are the things that you were always intended to use in the world. The commander is who you're actually going to be at the end of this, and who you might be to a certain extent already, but you somehow kind of lost sight of your grounding there. So does speak to the ability to uphold things of value and worth, and it may not be, again, in terms of money. It could be friendships that are, close and honorable, and things that help to align us with alliances, where there's that giving and receiving, that reciprocity. But it's also about striking wisely. So you don't want to be doing anything in blind retaliation. It's about others depending on you, and they may be drawn into the fray or drawn into the argument, which I do feel there was some kind of conflict coming there. But it's about you being, before you bring down war upon this person's head, or upon a few people, you want to look for peaceful solutions. This is a way of biting your tongue. It's telling you to hold your hand back from action, from something that you might regret later. And it's about cutting a deal, negotiating something. So the commander has developed the art of war and combat and blended them with the skills of a negotiator, so that the war may be averted by treaty. His axe shows him to be a man of might and power, for it is the weapon of the strong. Few survive the blow of the axe, which is a weapon of the final resort. But it really is telling you that you need to retain some sense of control, because the bigger battle, you don't want to win, how do I say that? You don't want to win a battle but lose the war. Meaning you could lose a friendship, you could lose a family connection, you could lose a love relationship, you could lose something very meaningful or big, very integral, intricately woven into your life, that actually has more meaning than you know. So this is about using the skills of a seer and able to understand the secrets, so that you can use that as an ability to heal others, rather than pull back the very thing that can heal them. If somebody's fatally wounded and you know that you can heal them, the card is really saying you should. So that was the cards coming through from your ancestors. Okay, so almost to the career and finance aspect. I'm just going to really quickly go over just the few other cards here. So this is actually the Witch's Tarot. I'll just bring that forward. So again, it's a repeat energy here with the Four of Swords. So again, the Four of Swords spoke to, stress, and the stress is starting to show here. You're trying to find some peace and solitude. It's, you taking that downtime, that retreat. You've lost some energy here. You're trying to find your strength again. You're feeling overwhelmed by the demands of the stress. You are withdrawing with this card. You could be recovering from an illness, maybe just too much anxiety, worn yourself down, but you're needing to step back either way. And so, again, it's about recouping lost energy, but also finding your focus. So that was the Four of Swords, and again, that was a repeat in your energy as well. The Tower moment could be something that comes to light here. So again, I did feel there was some kind of conflict that's going to come through at some point here, probably toward the latter part of middle to end of July. But it's some kind of shocking revelation, or something that was a little unexpected, basically, with the Tower. Something that changes the way you might see something or see a person. It's not necessarily a negative thing. It could be just where there was a lot of pressure that was built up, and it's finally being released, and it's being transformed, or it now has the chance to, transform. Secrets are uncovered, change is coming. But it is really about spiritual blocks as well, and obstacles, or things that are now being removed here with the Tower. The Tower is that blockage that finally gets removed, and something's come to light where you're learning, what you will learn will end up being helpful in the long run, basically. So it's a change of plans. It's, again, secrets that are coming to the surface. Something that might have been a little bit of a blow to your ego. I mean, it takes a lot of different meanings here, but either way, it is that removal of that block. So something is going to come to light here, but it might be relating around money too, because with the Five of Pentacles, you know, this is also the card of feeling lack or loss, and you know, it's a rebirth here as well. It's about new possibilities around the corner, but it's also, again, as I said, financial worries, feeling anxiety and stress, feeling shut out or isolated. But there is renewal and hope in adversity. So again, you know, something has to change and enable for that to happen, and it will be a little uncomfortable. So if you prepare for it and you allow yourself to understand that it's necessary to have a little bit of change, you can just gradually shift into it versus being impacted by it. So it's just that a little bit of a heads up that, you know, something is about to be revealed that is important it's important that it change. It's important that it be brought to light. Okay, so with the Knight of Swords, again, Knights are all about messages coming through oftentimes here. I do feel that with the Knight of Swords in this particular part of the reading, because again, a knight can represent a message coming through, or it can be the energy of a person. I'll basically go through both, but I feel that it's more related to the energy or the message coming through with the Knight of Swords. Sorry, Knight of Swords. I think I said Knight of Wands. Okay, so with the Knight of Swords, it's about some kind of clarity that's also coming up here too. So swords are all about that clarity. It's all about, you know, things coming to a head. But again, in this read, I feel that it's really about a messenger, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't really want to take it too far in the other direction because I don't feel it's a person. With the Page of Swords, though, the Page of Swords is also about messages and news and that kind of thing, but it's really about paying attention to what's going on around you. So, I mean, you will need to be tactful. I think whatever is revealed by the Tower that was related to money, where the message was coming through with the Knight, the Page of Swords is about, you know, you feeling that you have to stand on guard, or that you're feeling that there is some kind of trouble or conflict ahead here. But with a few well-chosen words, you know, you're going to find you're going to be able to keep your temper in check and actually not force a resolution, but you're going to be able to come to some kind of resolution over a petty argument. So you do have the ability to quickly put to an end, you know, any kind of conflict with, you know, carefully chosen words. And again, this person could be a young person, brown hair, green or hazel eyes, something along. It doesn't have to be, but again, that's just really what the card represents. Could be a young person, or it could be somebody who has the energy of a youthful, you know, nature. So again, I feel that you are still in control of that, and you do have the ability to adapt and heal that situation with your words. So it's still within your control. So the High Priest is also about, it can be somebody that you confide in, or just the need to settle a dispute. And I feel that there is some kind of dispute that's going on here, whether this is relationship of friends, relationship of family, relationship of a love partner. There's something that needs to be settled in terms of a dispute. With the High Priestess, that's what it's coming through with, where questions need to be answered, advice needs to be sought, legal advice or counsel, something like that, or even can speak to a new course of study, which the page could also be coming through with, where you're furthering your education. But again, I still feel it's a little more along the lines of needing to settle some kind of dispute, not to give up, not to give up thinking that you don't have any say in what's going on. I think that you do have the ability to heal and settle that dispute with your words. So again, it's some kind of, it's deeper knowledge basically with this card. So you're unlocking mysteries or gaining deeper knowledge, and whatever those answers are within yourself, you can trust them. Those are the lessons that you've been taught, and now you can convey that in whatever matter needs to be healed. You can use that gift. So, okay, we are. I think I will get to the. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if I have missed any of the other cards here. I think I've pretty much covered. Oh, okay, we're almost to the advice cards, and then we've got the rune cards. So rune cards, advice cards, and then the financial read here as well. So the disruption card is the rune card. And again, of course, that is exactly what it speaks to there. You know, you're going through some period of disruption. You've got to have something that breaks you free from that constraint, and it's the constraint of a material reality, your experience in the material world, that is constricting you, where you feel that the events are beyond your control. But something is coming to you in the form of an awakening, and it can be through, you know, varied experiences here. It could be just a gradual feeling of coming to your senses, but either way, you're kind of emerging from this difficult situation, coming to your senses, you know, whether you were feeling like you're in some kind of long state of disillusionment. But either way, it is you regaining some power back. You're understanding yourself here. Work, relationships, beliefs, all of that is starting to become clear again. It's not a situation where you are at the mercy of those external events. It's your own nature that's created what happened. So you're not without power because it's self-imposed, as was mentioned with the Eight of Swords and one of the other cards I'd read here earlier as well, along the same line. It's self-imposed. It's still with everything's still within your control. It's not an event or something's being taken away from you or inflicted upon you. It's something that you have kind of created yourself. So this is really about a support and a guide to help you during this time where you might have taken some things for granted, and those things are being challenged now. So it's a card where you may sustain a little loss or a little damage. I don't think it's really going to be loss. I think it's more a little bit of damage where, you know, a plan goes awry or some kind of relationship fails or feels like it's failed. I don't think you're losing anything. As I said, it doesn't feel like that at all. But I do feel that you just feel like something went out of your control for a minute there. And this is just a forewarning, you know, where you're being encouraged to understand and accept what occurs. It's necessary for your growth. You know, don't try to over control the situation. Sometimes you need to relinquish control for the greater good. You know, you need to try to understand the other person, or the, you know, that you're at conflict with, is what the other cards were saying as well. There's more severe, you know, disruptions in life, and this is not one of those. This is a time for you to grow. This is where the universe is saying to you, you know, your soul is demanding that you grow. So you need to grow, and you will have the opening to grow. So with the opening, you obviously you found the way. It's renewed clarity. You know, all your, or a lot of your disillusionment is being dispelled. You're now free to receive and to know the joy of non-attached giving. So this is a card of clear intent and concentration. So again, it's about beginnings of an endeavor. It's about protection as well. And the more light that you have, the better you can see what is trivial and outmoded in your own conditioning. And again, I feel that's a part of this here, because the Star card also is, you know, bringing some light to things here as well. And the sun illuminates as well. But either way, the opening is about getting rid of things that you thought you needed to have or needed to be a specific way, and you really don't. You know, it's about finding a mutual opening up here in relationships, or whatever that conflict was, which I do feel is in a relationship of some sort. But you're being called to serve as the trigger or the timekeeper. So in other words, your awareness needs to become the light to the understanding to heal that situation. So on the one hand, you feel limited and dependent or constrained, but on the other, you're actually sitting in your power because you have all the tools to overcome the situation, to create the harmony, and to allow that opening, to allow that way of operating in the dark, And so if you are operating in the dark, you're going to be able to find enough light to be able to see your way through it. So it's about being patient. So I think the next cards that we'll read will be I'm not going to go into the advice cards, I think, until the very end. So I'll just get right to the financial aspect here. So with the financial aspect, okay, I did feel that with the Lover's card, again, it could represent a relationship, but I also feel, again, doesn't have to be a relationship in the traditional sense of romantic relationship. It could also represent partnership, business, familial relationship, but it can also represent passion behind a project, anything like that, because I see this in a few different ways here. So again, I could be speaking to a few different Pisces. Lovers in the Ten of Wands is, with the Ten of Wands, it's really about feeling overburdened and a lot of things on your plate. So it could be in terms of a relationship that you feel that you're doing all the work, or that there's a lot of burden on you, and that it's a tough long-term commitment. Whether it's in a business sense or whether it's in a relationship sense or a business partner relationship sense. But either way, both parties are feeling a little bit of the burden here to keep each other happy. So again, it doesn't have to be in a relationship front, it can be business, because this part is actually the career aspect, career and finance. So again, it could be a high maintenance relationship here as well. Again, in a business sense or otherwise, friendship or romantic relationship. In terms of the lovers, in terms of a career, it is generally stimulating work and things that you like to do. And with the wands, I feel that there's a lot of energy behind it. It could represent a karmic relationship. And again, karmic relationships don't have to be romantic love affairs. They can also be with people that we meet in our life, friendships, and so on. But there's some kind of conflict between the heart and the head for yourself, or between both parties. Maybe one is more heart-based, one is more head-based, but there's some kind of overwhelm here. And so there is some advice here about someone feels the need to control that situation, and you don't need to. You don't need to try to control this situation. This is really letting you know that, as I mentioned with all the other cards here, that you're okay to step back and just be. You know what I mean? You don't need to, because you have all the tools to heal the situation. So I feel that's what you're supposed to be doing, is to heal the situation. It might feel like a bit of a burden at the time that you're going through it, but overall, there is a resolve there, and it is in your hands. Okay, so the clarifier is the Seven of Cups, and the initial card, of course, is the Three of Wands. So again, Three of Wands, Wands energy is always about, passions and action and swift action, depending on, what number here we're talking about. But with the Three of Wands, it is about hard work through our own efforts. So again, with the partnership card, the Lover's card, and the Ten of Wands, I felt that it could be that you're feeling the burden of something, maybe too much, too heavy on your plate. There's an imbalance there. But with the three, the Three of Wands, it's really about a waiting period. So there is a waiting period that could be causing you some anxiety. You could have a lot of options to choose from, and maybe that's why you're not ready to jump out there and get involved right away with whatever the project is. But it is also a period of expanding and daydreaming. And because there is the Three of Wands, there is some form of rapid growth that can happen here. You do have a lot of choices. You might also have too much of an emotional reaction, so maybe that's why you're pulling back. But I feel that you're writing down your ideas here. This could represent a Sagittarius, Leo, Aries energy in this reading as well. Again, doesn't have to be exactly those, but maybe the qualities more specifically to those astrological signs. But the Three of Wands generally denotes success, and it's after, after a waiting period, but it's a happy outcome. It could even speak to travel, but I feel in this case it's a little more related to a new path. I feel that you have a reason for optimism. I feel that you are about to expand, but there's some kind of waiting period here, and maybe that's just because you're still sort of dealing with resolving some inner issues there. But it is about expansion, and it is about, could even be about teamwork as well, but it's about your potential, being determined, being a bit of a dreamer here. Again, seeing the bigger picture, creative, could represent somebody with writing ability as well, or freelancer energy, but somebody who's expanding this enterprise, somebody who has the ability to expand. And again, whether you start right away, I don't feel that this is just where your head is, maybe at the beginning of July, but it's about wanting to be more adventurous and take that new path, and it is a path of achievement. So again, it's a longer period because it's you putting in the hard work, and about being forward thinking. It's not all happening in 1 month or 30 days or less. It is something you have to put the work in for, but you have to start whenever there's a window, and the universe is saying this is where you're at in this month. Here's a little window of energy. Here's a little insight to help you get over the hurdle. That's when you need to seriously take that into consideration and move ahead. So again, Eight of Swords, I think I already covered that. Lots of sabotage and, disillusionment, things that you put upon yourself that you really are still in control of here. Again, the Eight of Swords is just feeling stuck and things not being clear. Could be a boring job or something boring, or you're kept in the dark about something, but some kind of conflict here. Unable to feel like you can go ahead, might feel like a bit of a puppet or restricted in some way. Or maybe you feel that somebody's manipulating you or controlling you, or maybe you're just lacking direction. I mean, it comes in all forms of restraint, again, lacking direction, isolation, closed mind, just feeling overall confusion, restricted, loss of passion for something, lack of stimulation, self-sabotage, just feeling vulnerable. So, but again, you're still in control of how that plays out. Everything is still in your power there. It's nothing that's being thrust upon you. You're not all of a sudden losing your house and having to deal with it. Everything is still within your control. You just need to see it and act on it. Okay, so with the Star card, I mean, this is a card of shining some light on things, but it's also an optimistic card. With the Magician energy, you have everything you need to kind of make something manifest here as well. So I do feel that with that combination, because the Magician is really a clarifier for the Star card, it is about taking up the willpower and renewed faith and hope and, rejuvenation and getting yourself out there again. And you've got that courage and that hope and that faith starting again here with the Star card. And you're able to take courage from that inner knowing. So it's about that renewal, optimism, kind of using your five senses to, pull yourself out, being aware of, where you had some issues and finding some growth and healing, and you're regaining motivation here. So again, it's listening to the universe, trusting in the universe, trusting in ancestral guidance, whatever it is that's coming through for you to give you answers. But you've got renewed self-esteem, and you're wanting to start giving back and get back on track. So again, it's really about you going toward your goals again. Okay, with the Five of Pentacles, again, I mean, I did feel that, you did feel a sense of lack here. You felt that there was some kind of, I feel that, again, it's not that it's happening. I feel it's just in your head, feeling this sense of lack, feeling this sense of loss, feeling some kind of fear or rejection or poverty. It doesn't have to be financial, but feeling impoverished in some way, whether it's emotionally or somehow your security has been threatened in some way. But either way, it's some kind of temporary hardship. or a situational loss where things felt beyond your control. So again, it's that insecurity, maybe feeling financial hardship, but self-worth issues, all of that comes to mind with that. But the advice here is to keep to yourself, just keep your finances straight, don't overspend. If it's in terms of money, you might be feeling that it's a low point for you in terms of finance, but and that it is affecting you on an emotional front. But help is around you here, especially with the optimism card. Reach out for it. It's not that you're in any way stuck. You actually have, the happiness card with the sun here. So you actually are getting through whatever that situation was, with flying colors, basically. So again, I did feel a lot of this was just self-imposed. I feel that nothing is, it's a heavy energy on your part because I feel that it's grief. I think for some of you, it's really grief that you're going through, loss of something really significant to you. But again, with the sun card, you're the light, you're the center of the universe here. You want to put yourself at the center of your decisions, and answers are clear with this card. In terms of finances, it again speaks to great outcomes, whether it's an income that's starting to manifest here or starting to come through, or some realization of what direction to head with it. But I feel it's some kind of good surprises and opportunities that are coming. And I say that because it's also followed by the Ace of Pentacles and the Six of Pentacles. So I do feel there is some kind of gift that's coming in for you. I do feel it's on the front of money, but not only is it a gift of money, coming in with the Ace of Pentacles, or an opportunity. I feel it's also an opportunity for you to share, because the Six of Pentacles is about that sharing. It's about generosity. It's about some kind of generous gift, whether it's, finance, whether it's jewelry, money, or some kind of special, book or something that was passed on, that there's some kind of reciprocity that's going on here. There's a gift that's coming in for you, but I also feel that you are sharing this unexpected blessing in some way. You're actually, for some that are maybe it's a new opportunity in work. Maybe you're negotiating a raise, but either way, there's some form of abundance that's coming through here. Could be an inheritance of some sort. Could be something that's giving you a sense of financial stability, some kind of reward, some kind of materialistic energy here with this. But it is about getting those projects going and success, but it's also about new beginnings, new projects, as I mentioned. Reward and effort and prosperity speaks to the energy of the Ace of Pentacles, but you are getting the power to get what you need. You're feeling more grounded. There's a bit of a journey here. There's some practicality involved, because Pentacles are a grounded energy. It is rooted in the material world. In terms of feelings, you're ready for that new beginning. You're ready to receive. And again, I feel you're sharing this. You're sharing this in some way with the Six of Pentacles. Okay, so somewhere in the reading here, we also have the energy of the King of Wands. Again, this is somebody who's a leader. This is somebody who's very inspiring. This is somebody, could be you or could be somebody in your general sphere. But somebody who's really, it's a positive card either way. Somebody who could have a bit of a big ego. Entrepreneurial energy, definitely somebody who, as I said, lots of vitality, very dramatic. They don't have to have all these qualities, but these are generally the qualities that come with a King of Wands. So this is about somebody who it leads their life with intent. This could also be your advice, that you need to lead your life with intent again, be sensible, not impulsive. But it also speaks to additional sources of income coming through in terms of a business for some. And it's a very independent person for others, where it's an actual person that's coming through in the reading. But it's also about, again, if it's speaking to you, it can be speaking to your power, your potential, your growth. So you're masterful, and you're getting others to work with you to expand on this growth. But again, I feel this is addressing a few different Pisces. So I don't want to say this is specifically a person, because I think it actually speaks to, the person. I also think it speaks to another Pisces that represents the advice to, lead your life with focused intent and get past whatever was holding you back on an emotional level. And again, whether it was grief or whatever, but it was putting you into some kind of negative cycle here. But it's about putting real effort forward and using that energy. So with the Queen of Pentacles, the Six of Swords indicates you're moving away from, it's a time of transition. You're moving away from a negative cycle or something that was difficult for you. The Queen of Pentacles, again, I felt that's a duplicate energy with the mothering energy. Again, queens deal with a lot of details and nurturing and practicality. They're resourceful, that kind of thing. So this is somebody in your sphere, or it could be yourself, but somebody who's well established, supports family, practical, realistic, home loving, that kind of thing. Somebody who's there for everybody, who's faithful and loyal and all of that, but very security minded. And again, it was clarified with the Six of Swords. So I feel that this person is maybe helping you to move past, and transition past some of these difficult times. The Queen of Pentacles represents a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy. And in terms of advice, the Queen of Pentacles advice would be to express your truth. Be nice and loving. It's not a bad thing. Just be organized, open up, be balanced, help others, and focus on keeping yourself happy and loved, and be diligent and hardworking. So those were, again, if it's in terms of advice, that's where I'd be headed with it. But I also feel this is really a person for another group of Pisces that are about someone that's helping them to find practical, workable solutions to regaining stability again and moving away through that transitional period with the Six of Swords. So again, with the Judgment card, Judgment is clarified with the Page of Cups. So I do feel that the Judgment card can speak to liberation or an inner calling, getting back on track, following your North Star, that kind of thing, and getting back to your ambitions. It can also speak to that awakening. And I think in this case, it is speaking to that awakening that, where you were afraid to open up and take the time to get close and heal. I feel that this is where Judgment is coming through here and letting you know that, you're recognizing your true self here. You may have had too many demands on you from yourself or others, but you're accepting things for the way they are. You're taking responsibility for your life. You know your purpose and your true self, and you're awakening to this. And this is a rebirth, basically. So liberating here. And in terms of any legal matters as well, even though I don't see anything specific on that front, but the card can speak to legal matters, but it is about those being resolved. And I feel that everything would be in your favor here, or in, how should I say, maybe not specifically in your favor, but there'll be a favorable resolve, I guess, for the best way to phrase that, I suppose. So with the Page of Cups, this is really, again, it's a clarifier. So I do feel with the Page of Cups, this is really about, can represent Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio as well, energy. So it's you coming through in your own reading as well. But it's also about speaking to that, artistic self. It's good news, it's coming through. And again, it can be about new business or that unexpected gift, which I still feel is coming in for you. But it is a good omen all around. It is about, it's positive news. It's about receiving help, or also developing psychic abilities here. So again, you're highly intuitive for the month of July. So I feel that the universe is intuitively helping you out here with this card. This is a card of creativity and synchronicity, where the universe is lining things up. It can also speak to a child energy, but I feel in this case, again, this is more about just about you awakening, getting back on track, following your bliss, or following, ideas and things that you maybe put on the back burner. And it also speaks to things around family-oriented things as well. And Page of Cups can be somebody who feels a little overwhelmed by the world, and so maybe this is, speaking to that. you know, going through that period where you felt a little held back or restricted, but either way, again, you're listening to your intuition, you're making the right choices, and you're able to, the universe is helping you out by synchronizing things, and you're able to move ahead and go forward, and you're feeling a sense of freedom here. There is that renewal of emotion and just a fresh pursuit and fresh perspective, and everything is just moving forward. Okay, so moving on to the last week or so of July, I would say. So again, these two are clarifiers with the Knight of Cups and the Three of Swords. Again, did feel there was some kind of a conflict coming through at the end of July with the Two of Cups. Can also speak to a love relationship or partnership here as well. I don't try to, as I've mentioned through many times, for those that are new to my channel, I guess I should have maybe clarified at the beginning, but I don't do deep relationship readings. I do feel that a lot of relationships overlap with these cards, and so it's important to bring them forward and touch on them, but I don't do in-depth relationship read. I will touch on it as it pertains to the aspects of the general energy and the career and finance area. So with this, normally the Two of Cups, as I said, can be related to cooperation or soulmate energy. But either way, it can also signify some kind of a business relationship or some kind of relationship overall that's of significance to you. But I do feel that there is some kind of reconciliation of some sort as well that was coming through toward the end of July. But I did feel there was an opportunity to build on things and move into a better position here. So again, there is something that's coming through with some money that's coming through, or a gift of some sort that's coming through, or an exchange of some sort that's coming through that is considered a gift to you. But I feel that there is still some tension around this relationship here. With the Knight of Cups, I do feel that is the energy of a messenger coming through. It could be the energy of a person, somebody who's a little narcissistic. Doesn't have to be narcissistic, but it can be one of the qualities. Can also be somebody who's a really inspiring energy with the Knight of Cups, or who likes to be inspired. Somebody who has a great deal of emotional sensitivity. Somebody who is maybe a little bit more creative, imaginative, lover, and, likes to be in love, and as I said, dreamy, and has a, I don't want to say, maybe a little more fickle nature. They're a little more insecure. They're lacking in some confidence. But it can also be a job offer coming through as well. But just because of the context in which these three cards are put together, I feel there's some conflict around it. So I'm just going to say I feel this is more of a message that's coming through, that there's a conflict with this relationship. But as it relates to you, take it as it resonates. But with the Three of Swords, it is a card of conflict. I mean, there might be some kind of difference of opinion in terms of, maybe I should pull a card on whether or not what that is exactly. What that conflict is actually about. I hate to drag this out, but I'm just going to give them a quick shuffle and see what that Three of Swords is. Okay, so it's conflict that's revolving around some kind of a Libra energy. The Abundance card, normally the Empress is an abundance card, where things are ideas and good things coming through for you. But with again, because I'm using that as a clarifier for the Three of Swords, I mean, the Three of Swords really speaks to an energy, as I said, of conflict and difficulty. So maybe torn between, maybe it's a situation where you're torn between three different situations here. Maybe there's a conflict in the partnership because of this Libra energy, not sure. But either way, I mean, the Three of Swords speaks to, you know, anger and jealousy, or things that that are a little more along the lines of, could even speak to just hurt inside and depression or rejection and all of those things as well. But, you know, it's anything that makes you feel like you've been let down, you know, or that others aren't there for you, or, you know, that you're cheated on perhaps, or that there's some kind of just emotional, it's an emotional matter, is what I'm just going to simplify it as. But I do feel not only is it an emotional matter, but I do feel that it does involve the Empress. And again, as I said, I mean, the Empress is normally on its own. It can represent the Libra energy, but it also speaks to, the Empress is, as I said, somebody who has great ideas. It's a really strong energy. It's usually a really strong positive energy, but again, I'm not sure how that quite relates yet. I mean, it could, as I said, I feel that there's some kind of a conflict that's coming through here that relates to this person, but I still feel it's not something that can't be healed, because I felt that, you know, earlier on you did have all the qualities, and it's a verbal thing that you can do to heal this, but again, with the Three of Swords, I mean, this can be a woman on the warpath. This can be another woman. It could signify some kind of, I don't want to say love triangle, because I feel with this is more, you know, business oriented on this aspect. But there's something that revolves around that energy with the Libra mother energy. It's a feminine energy. You know, this is somebody who normally is very instinctive, and like as a person is somebody who's has a very strong sense of themselves. They a very strong developed sense of themselves as well. You know, somebody's really compassionate and creative and nurturing and all of those things as well, and action oriented, and again, all about beauty and luxury and sensuality, those kinds of things. So I'm again, I feel it's more of a person here. I was just waiting for something else to come through here, but I feel that's where it's headed. So now that we're on the Six of Cups, we're almost nearing the end of, well, this is the end week. So again, with the Six of Cups, it's that nostalgic energy coming through again. And again, you had another card that spoke to that as well. Normally the Six of Cups on its own can relate to, you know, something that needs to be expressed. It can also represent a reconciliation of some sort, which you also had another few cards that represented reconciliation. So I do feel there is some kind of reconciliation, could be with the old friends, could be with family, something along that line. But either way, some kind of getting together at the end, but there is a resolve for sure. This combination here, because the Four of Wands clarifies the Six of Cups, is a return of someone from the past. And again, it could be as children in the present, but it's also about that family get together and throwing a party of some sort. Because, and it is something that is from the past. I feel it is family, friends, reconciliation, that you're looking back on things as well that help to motivate you. And maybe that is part of the thing that will help to motivate you to shake some of that negative thoughts, the negative thoughts that you've been stuck in. With the Knight of Pentacles, again, Knights are all about information that can be coming through, could also represent a person, but I think in this case, the Knight of Pentacles really does represent, it's a slow-moving energy with the King of Swords. I just want to check to see how many Knights we had in the reading here. It seemed to me there were 2. Okay, well, I don't want to drag it out too long here for you, but okay, so I'll just stay with what I've got here. Oh, we did have another Knight, but that was in the other reading, or the other deck. So the 2, when there are, When there are a couple of knights in there, I mean, it can speak to, you know, the courage to pursue a path that's meaningful, or somebody that you're on a mission. Something needs to be actioned or expressed here. And I feel that's what's happening with the Knight of Pentacles. Something needs to be expressed here with the King of Swords. I do feel that with the Knight of Pentacles, because there was some degree of overwhelm, emotional overwhelm for you, the Knight of Pentacles also speaks to keep pushing through. It is a dedicated, grounded, secure energy, but it's slow to express or manifest. So again, it's the ambition to keep moving forward in practical ways, get on with the job or the task at hand, knuckle down, that kind of thing. You know, become the expert you need to become. With the Knight of Swords, again, that speaks to, I feel, or sorry, the King of Swords, that's again a Gemini, Libra energy, or Aquarius. But I do feel that this is an energy of, you know, needing to be fair. Push through, be fair, don't become harsh in judging another. You know, this could represent a person, yourself or another, somebody who's rational, authoritative, realistic, could be a lawyer, could be somebody who is, you know, highly principled, headstrong, that kind of thing. Somebody in the military, anything like that. But somebody who's law enforcement or assertive, anything, any of those positions that sort of surround that governmental, legal energy. So it's a slow-moving energy, but the message is stay on task. The advice is be straightforward, logical, speak the truth, remain objective. You know, just stay neutral and make sound decisions. You know, because you are discovering the truth. I feel that you are a bit of a teacher in some ways as well, and that you have the ability to use your logic and stay in your integrity here and heal whatever this situation is here with the conflict. So last but not least, just a few more cards here. You also have the Heirophant and the Moon. The Heirophant, of course, is about, you know, some hidden knowledge, some things that you may or may not have access to in the early parts of July. But with the Moon, of course, that's all about sort of that unconscious illusions, things that revolve around insecurities, the subconscious. You know, it can speak to dishonesty of another person, but I don't feel that's really what this is going through. It can be that the dark side of something has been exposed with the Moon card, or unseen problems. Can be bad dreams or some kind of confusion or a misunderstanding or anxiety or insecurities, things along that line. But I feel that, and it is a Pisces and a Cancerian energy, so it's also you coming through in your own reading as well, because it's a water sign, but it's also about heightened intuition. So it is about not necessarily a breakup. I do feel there is some kind of legal energy coming through here with the Hierophant, as well with the King of Swords, and then also with the Emperor following that. There's some kind of possibly a legal matter of some sort, just because there's so many really strong, powerful cards here. Major Arcana, especially toward the end of the month. So at the end of July, there is some kind of information that's coming through that's being brought to light that you may not have, you're just hearing about. I don't feel it's cause for alarm or anything, but it is dealing with something traditional or something conservative. You know, it's some kind of large corporation or a group that's coming through here to deal with. Again, this could be in relation to knowledge, of that path to knowledge, where you're getting this aha moment as well. I feel that there's some kind of change in your mental state here as well. There's a commitment of some sort to that. But again, I feel it could refer to some kind of a legal matter as well. Nothing that I feel is of any real concern here, because with the Emperor, I feel that this could be just a dominating energy, dominating person, somebody who's trying to over control something, and I feel that you're maybe feeling threatened by it in some way because you are defensive with the Nine of Wands. But just because you're defensive doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means that's how you feel, because it's maybe new territory or something that was just unexpected, again, because there's a Tower moment in there also. But I do feel with the Knight of Wands, nines are also about taking action. So I don't feel that in any way that this is a real dire situation for you. I just feel there's somebody around you that has an over-controlling nature or has some strong influence. Again, it could speak to something of a legal matter of sorts, but it's also about protection and security. And maybe you're just feel like you need an extra layer of protection here. Because the Emperor is all about self-discipline. So again, it could speak to a person, it could speak to feeling like, I don't feel that's right. I mean, the card itself can be about fearless and discipline and growth and all of that, but I don't feel that's right. I don't feel that this is you. I feel that I just feel that this is about maybe that it feels more like you need to operate with a degree of self-control and discipline. Because again, even though you're feeling threatened on some level, and with the Nine of Wands, I don't feel that this structure is really threatening. I don't feel that it's a really threatening situation. I feel like it's just something you just need to deal with. Because at the end of the month, you're back on track. You're already starting out again, doing what you normally would do with the repetitive Eight of Pentacles, but it's not the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles would be sort of that planting the seed stage, something new and still in gestation. But the Eight of Pentacles means you're already working on something that you've got kind of both feet in, and now it's just a matter of continuing the path until it builds some momentum and creates some rewards. I suspect probably in the next couple of months you're going to start to see some of the rewards for your hard work. But you could also be training for a new skill here. It could be a new opportunity that was coming through with the Ace of Pentacles, as in a new job for some. But either way, and maybe again that's with a corporation for some. Some are getting a job with a corporation that's coming through that maybe they feel a little repressed. Sorry, I shouldn't do these so late into the evening. But there's again just an energy of you training for a new skill, or back to practicality and getting on with things. Money's not really a worry here. You're focused on your goals and your current happiness again. And I just feel like it's somebody who is motivated by this new skill, and I do feel that you are disciplined. Again, you're committed. You're enjoying your employment here. I feel that you persevere at all costs. This is really what the energy of this card is. And it's bringing long-term career success. It's a highly skilled person or craftsman that's coming out of this here. Somebody that's becoming a master and who's putting in the hard work to get there. So it may be somebody who's got a bit of a slight fixation, workaholic, that kind of thing. But either way, it's widening your skill base. You're widening your knowledge. And again, it's a repetitive task, but you're working hard for it. And there will be success with that Eight of Pentacles, but it's a long-term project. Okay, last cards are just the cards relating to your advice. So that's the last 4 cards I will read, and then We will wait until August. Okay, so this card is all about decision. So decision is release yourself from that which holds you back, a need to detox, unnecessary worry based on a lack of self-confidence. So again, this could be that you were just, I felt that you were some heavy energies here, so I feel that there was maybe a lot of negativity or regret or grief or just a lot of heavy emotions that you were dealing with, but you're being called to get rid of those things that are holding you back. Release those feelings of feeling helpless or trapped. You know, these are things that limit you. These are things that hinder your progress. They're self-created, self-generated, and because they're self-created, you can uncreate those. You can free yourself. They're still within your control. It's just negative thinking that's keeping you from moving in the direction of your heart's desire, and you just need to focus again. And it's all about rebuilding your confidence again here, and that you've got a lot of unnecessary worry. So you might be worrying over something that really doesn't require worry because it's really just a part of the process. So the Knight of Gabriel is a time to take action, great passion for a cause, instinctively knowing just what to do. So this card is again just that. It's about, you know, undivided attention, taking quick focused action, using some speed and certainty here, and, you know, getting some passion behind it so that you feel that momentum again, and that self-confidence. You're ready for the next adventure here is what's happening. You're able to be courageous and enthusiastic, charismatic, and again, can be somebody who is a volunteer or an athlete as well, if we're talking about a person, but somebody who has a passion for life again. So I feel like you've got a renewed spirit. Six of Ariel again is that material needs get fulfilled in magical and unexpected ways. So they're acts of kindness, giving or receiving with a grateful heart. So again, that card of reciprocity, and you already had that as well with the Six of Pentacles. So again, some kind of a gift is coming through for you, and with the Six of Ariel, I feel that you're sharing it. There's great blessings in giving and receiving. So, you know, this is, again, about accepting it with gratitude and humility, giving to those in need, being compassionate, not judging. It's a gift that doesn't always, again, have to be financial. It could be to deal with your energy, your time, or your experience, or, you know, some kind of advice that you're giving. But remembering to give to others, or when you're giving to others, you know, consider what you truly need. You know, make gifts that don't promote dependency, but are well thought out, you know, and help to empower somebody else to go forward. So that's what this card speaks to: acts of kindness, grants, scholarships, promotions, and bonuses of some sort. Last card is the Two of Raphael. Twos are again all about finding balance, but with the Two of Raphael, I feel that two hearts dedicated to creating something wonderful, kindred spirits. Don't give up on those that you love. So I don't feel, again, this is for everybody. I feel some are related to are relating to a relationship, some are relating to friendship, and some maybe, you know, resonating more with a familial relationship. But either way, it is talking about friendship growing deeper, something that's kind of moved to the next level. It's deepening the bond, and it is a long-term connection where there's actual understanding, mutual respect and understanding, and that there's forgiveness, and that forgiveness is healing those wounds and heals the wounds within you as well. And I think this helps to lift some of that burden. So now is not the time to give up on those that you love. Again, be compassionate, and any disagreements that are going on will come to positive resolutions. So you're making a commitment here, and there is a real connection and a mutual understanding. So that is great advice. And again, sorry for the long reads, but while I have the time, I'm taking the opportunity. Oh, I did forget the last three cards. I'm sorry. These are the new cards that I am, well, they're not new cards. It's actually cards that I've had before, but it's a deck that I haven't really used all that often. The cards are rather largish, so they're harder to shuffle, but anyway, I pulled 3 cards there, and this one is the Golden Tarot. So this one is actually the card of strength, which you did already get in this reading as well, and it was about taking the discipline that's necessary to complete your journey. And so the lion stands for the inflated ego that seeks fame and fortune, and the strength's power comes from courage. So strength is really the quality needed to tame man's lust for power. So the card is about physical strength, mind over matter, self-discipline, determination, and heroism. So again, the card was, you had several other cards that sort of spoke to that as well, not being judgmental, being humble, and healing. You've got the Four of Cups here, which is also that period of introspection, which I did feel you were doing through July and through other parts prior to this month. But introspection where you needed to gain some perspective after an intense period of some kind, whether it was the loss of someone or, grief or some kind of impact on you emotionally, or the departure of a relationship, whatever it is for you. But there was disillusionment, and I feel that it was disillusionment that you were imposing. And you took on this energy because you were depleted. Your energy was gone. I felt that you had a lot on your plate, and then you just sort of collapsed into it. So with the Knave of Coins, this is really, I think it's you. It's actually somebody who's quite scholarly, or somebody in your sphere, as I say. Somebody who's quite scholarly, educated, reflective, practical, or likes to read an awful lot. It's somebody who's capable, deep concentration, very curious person, has that thirst for knowledge, but not afraid to face challenges or problems or difficulties, which is a great quality. But again, it's hard to face those things when you're coming from a place of negativity or restriction. So anyway, hope that gave you some insight, Pisces. I do wish you well, and it sounds like there's definitely some parting of the clouds for you. As I said, I feel that you've got a celebration, in quick synopsis, celebration of some sort coming through, family, reconciliation, old friends, that kind of thing, all coming through toward the end of July. I do feel you're on the right track. There might be a legal matter or some kind of large corporation or something that's coming through for you that is an opportunity, slow moving, but it is coming through for you. You might feel a little defensive around somebody who is quite authoritative, or perhaps it's a legal matter that you feel you need to be on guard about, but you really don't. It's just a matter of the processing of things. I did feel that you had some positive cards coming through. Again, even though you felt some lack, you still had lots of hope and inspiration and, reason for success and manifestation coming through here. You might have felt a little bit of overwhelm and some burden by a business relationship, a personal relationship, or a friendship, or a familial relationship, whatever it is there for you. But you do have a lot of options and choices, and you're willing to take some go into new territory here. You do have a gift of some sort that's coming through from the universe, and for sure I feel that you're sharing some of that gift in some way. I do feel that you are feeling more re-inspired, and again, you're re-inspired again, and judgment's coming through that you've got new projects and creative things that are on the horizon. So I won't go into it too much longer. I know 6 to 8 hours of a reading is a bit much, but I wanted to make sure I tried different things here. So anyway, if that resonated for you, please like and subscribe to my channel. I am glad that you stopped by. We'll see you in the month of August, Pisces, and a really good, hopeful reading. And again, I hope this gave you some clarity and a little bit of insight for the month of July.